Hi, I'm Mark from Bricks Magazine and welcome to Brick Solutions. Thanks to lots of feedback and emails, we've decided we're going to start looking at the Modular High Street and how we can improve the standard Lego modulars. Now, obviously in January we've got the anniversary set, the Assembly Square coming out, so we thought we'll start our content now by looking at the brick bank and how we can make it a little bit bigger. So why don't you come and join me as we modify the brick bank. Right, welcome, here we are. We've got two brick banks and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to join two together. Now the issue we've got here is we want one big block. As you can see, they're both identical. We've got the laundrette on one corner. So if I sat them side by side, identical, you can see how they are. What I want to do is I want to join them together so the front facade here is all bank. So the bank will be like an L shape and then down this side we'll have the laundrette. So we're going to double the laundrette, we're going to double the bank. But that's going to come with some complications. So we're going to have to reverse build, we're going to have to mirror build on some of this. So if I just take you through the areas we've got, so we've got the roof here, we'll take the roof off. So as you can see now, very different, it's not symmetrical. We've got the laundrette here. Now essentially that laundrette's going to sit on this side. So then I'm going to have to take these elements here and run them down the bank side. So it's going to be a real factor of joining the two buildings together. The same goes for the interior. So all of these interiors, well I've got the office. What I figure here is the front of the bank is going to have the whole big opening section here with two chandeliers hanging down, and then we'll have the little bankman's office, we'll have two offices down the side. We've also got obviously the interior, and that's going to have to follow suit on this base bit of the interior where we've got the vault, we've got the bank teller's counter, and we've got the laundrette. So I'm going to be doubling up on the vault, doubling up on the laundrette, but we're going to have to reconfigure. We're going to have to work out where we're going to do the stairs because I don't want two staircases, I want one. But what I'm going to do with this entire project is I'm not going to use any other bricks than what I've got in these two sets. It's going to be about reconfiguring those insides, starting with the outside. And that's going to be my first point of this project is I'm going to work out how the outside goes, then design the interiors, working from the ground floor up. So let's see how I get on. Oh, hello there, welcome back. I'm just sweeping up what I've got left of my brick banks here. As I say, when you last saw me, I had two, and I was joining them into one. This is what's left over. I've finished the project, so probably time for me to show you how we got on. Here we go. This is what we finished with. This is two modular brick banks put together. I feel like it still looks like the actual set, but just larger, which is the aim of the project. We've got the laundrette at the end here. You've got a bigger laundrette, so you've got more room to wash your pants. And we've got this beautiful facade at the front with the entrance to the bank. And then we've got another entrance to the bank there. And I'm going to talk you through the journey that this was, because it was quite a journey to get here. There was a lot of things I encountered that I wasn't expecting. And I'm just going to take you through a few of those little bits now as to how we got to this point. So I tried to retain the features as said before. Now one of the play features in the brick bank is the chimney stack here, which if I tilt this you can see we've got the chimney stack. Now the play feature is you can drop a minifigure down, he drops out, lands in the vault for the bank robbing. That and the laundrette were the key elements. This is where I started the build. So it's about combining the two laundrettes. So let me just turn that, you can see we've got a nice big double space there. The laundrettes themselves, the washing machines, on the back of them is the safe. For me, I didn't want to change that too much. What I did do is I took one of the units of 4 and I reverse built it so the ATM was on the other side. And then on the one on the left-hand side, which is butted up to the wall, I took the ATM off it completely so we had a nice square clean edge. So we've got a big bank of 8 washing machines there. That also presented me with my first problem because half a laundrette, double laundrette, it left me with this narrow column space down here. I went back to my key features, which was the vaults, the laundrette. We got that in place first. Once I built that, I built the vaults onto it. That then dictated what space I had left for the bank and how I was going to do this. So from here upwards is all bank. What I used then is I then decided, looking at the exterior, I kept the format that Lego had got of the pillars, the windows, and the lovely green trans pieces above them. We've kept all that architecture in place. It was deciding where I put the doors. And I knew I couldn't put the doors central because they'd be walking straight into the vault here. And I was going to separate the doors, but I wanted to keep the ornate detail that we've got above it. That wasn't possible if I was going to make these single doors. I then positioned the doors so, and this was based actually on a bank in Peterborough where we live, where it's a corner unit and you've got doors at either side. Once I got them walls in place and those doors, I could then go back to the interior and work out what I was going to do. All the time I was building this, I always had in the back of my mind reality. So it couldn't be that a minifigure walked into the door and actually could have access to the safe. It couldn't be that a minifigure would walk in and actually be blanked into a wall. There had to be a natural journey for me, and security for a bank was imperative. So I've kept all of that in place. So what I've done here, I've taken the teller's counters where each counter had 2 panes of windows. I've actually got rid of one completely and created an L-shaped desk in here. So that then gave me, by keeping the stairs in the original position of the other bank, it gave me this lovely L shape, so I can then just double up on the mosaic floor. So I've kept Lego's design there on the floor and just duplicated it. And then we've got this lovely L-shaped space for all the tellers behind with the safes behind them. So using those original factors of the laundrette and where the doors were going to go, that dictated how my internal space was. Now there was a few little problems with size and measurement, but I actually had lots and lots of extra pieces. At first I wasn't aware of how many pieces I was going to have, so I started the build quite sparingly, and I actually ended up revisiting each floor and adding extra bricks in when I knew what I'd got spare. And that would be my tip to anyone doing this, is you've actually just got to go for it, but then and then give yourself space to come back and change. So that's the first floor now. I then, once I'd got that bank safe sorted, I'd got my laundrette sorted, I was what to do with this little space down the side at the front. So what I decided to do was actually turn this into an ATM room that could be open 24 hours, just like in real life. I sealed that room off there from the main banking area. They've got access to the cash machine. They've got this lovely little door here, which they can come into in each side. This was probably the largest part of the project for me. I probably spent 60% of my time building this ground level. So the ground floor is all set now. We've got things in place, so that helps dictate what I do with the second floor. So let's bring that in a little bit. I'm not going to put it on straight away because I want to show you the general shape. I've kept the big cavity that we've got. Again, I started with the laundrette end, which is these 2 offices here. So I've doubled up on the offices, and that's the first bit I built on this floor. That then helps me dictate the space. I've got my chimney stack, that stayed in place. Now what you might notice, what I've done with the outside front windows here, if I put that on, the recessed part of this window, which would normally sit over the door, I've put central. Now, I ummed and ahed about that, but it felt more symmetrical to do it this way, and it felt more appropriate, as if I put it over there, it looked unbalanced. So I did try it over there, it didn't quite work for me, so I've put it symmetrical. That is a little bit of their design I've changed. And then I've basically built that big L shape there. We've got a couple of open plan offices. I've then moved the staircase, because obviously we've got the hole for the ground floor staircase coming up. So I've put this here. Now that will give me a problem, which I didn't anticipate when I get to the roof. As you can see, that all slots on quite nicely. It's all nice and solid. I've followed the Lego build techniques. So we've got a nice solid build. We've got 2 offices. We've got a nice open plan deck here. I've even done things where I've changed, and I did it on the laundrette earlier. I've moved the doors, I've flipped them round so they both open like that, so it's just those little details, so rather than them all just open in the same way. So I've tried to make this look as purposeful as possible, just taking reality into as much consideration as I can when I'm building this. This part of the build had led me into a false sense of security, because this was really quick for me to do. I knocked this out really, really quickly, especially compared to the first floor. So I entered into the roof stage with some false confidence, it could be said. Let me pull this in. Now, it wasn't as straightforward as we hoped. We have retained the front facade that was on the original brick bank. I've obviously got the skylights that we've talked about, and underneath, if we can see that, we've still got the 2 chandeliers, which I've had to move across. All of that was fairly straightforward, but what I have had to do is increase the dark grey area. So my first point was to put the 2 black roof ends in that go above the office. I've then had to create a very unusual shape and create a little L here. So this is the only part of the build where I've actually added a piece. I've had to add a 4x6 plate into here because, as I say, I've extended it. It's essentially that space there. So But that I've had to do that because of where I've put the doorways and where I've put the recessed windows. Now, again, I did all that. I was happy. I'd got the chimney in place. I'd got the end walls in place. That all worked. I then built up this roof. I put the skylights in and realised then that the little doorway that was positioned here actually just walked into a void of a skylight. So for me, again, that didn't work because if a minifigure walked through that, it'd tumble down 2 floors, land in the bank foyer in a couple of pieces, to be fair. So again, keeping reality in, I then had to rebuild this structure. But fortunately, by this point, I knew I had lots and lots of pieces left. So I was able to build this little sloped door turret at the top here, where this actually now leads down into the staircase below it. It all aligns up perfectly. And we can clip that all in place there to give you the final overall look. It's quite solid. I've used a lot of the Lego build techniques. I've followed a lot of their design. 1, to keep the look, and 2, because we know it's going to be a solid build. So I think you'll be pleased that it's all there in one big piece. It's a very big facade. I've achieved exactly what I wanted to achieve. Now I think it's time for me to go over, put it in the street, and see what it actually looks like with the other modular houses. Right, there we go, it's in place. I think it's a really, really nice statement. I'm really pleased I entered this project. We've got this big double brick bank at the end of the street, a real big statement. But also, it makes me feel like I've got a bit of something unique to my street. We all buy modulars, we all enjoy them, but I would recommend modifying them and just tweaking them and changing. This is quite an extreme change, but you can do more, you can do less. I'd love to see what you guys do. Please get in touch with us and show us what you've done or what you'd perhaps do different. I hope you've enjoyed our Modular High Street project. This is the first part of many. We started off big based on your feedback of what you wanted to see us doing, but there's going to be plenty more to come, so keep tuned in. Why not check us out on Facebook or on Twitter, or go to our YouTube channel. Alternatively, why not you go to republic66media.com, have a look at our beautiful products of Bricks and Bricks Culture magazines. I've been Mark Guess, this has been Brick Solutions, and thanks for joining me. Don't forget to register today for your free digital magazines by going to republic66media.com or downloading our Bricks and Bricks Culture app. Never miss out on an issue of Bricks Magazine. Get your subscription today from republic66media.com.
Remember the back issues?